Israel is facing an unprecedented military crisis. In recent days, at least 400 Israeli soldiers have openly declared their refusal to serve in Gaza. This defiance comes not only from active soldiers but also from reservists and military veterans. They argue that continuing the Gaza operation endangers the lives of Israeli hostages and inflicts severe humanitarian consequences on civilians. One group, known as Soldiers for the Hostages, insists the current mission is threatening Israel's own people and tarnishing the nation's reputation worldwide. Max CRCH, one of its members, describes this refusal as a moral act, not merely disobedience. The resistance has already triggered political ripples. Officials such as Zamir have raised objections to the mass displacement of Gaza residents, warning that Israel would bear full responsibility for their lives. The situation now reveals a deeper fracture within Israel itself, torn between government ambition for total victory and moral, military, and political realities. The pressing question: can Netanyahu maintain control when his own soldiers defy orders? This defiance is far from symbolic. At least 400 Israeli soldiers have formally refused to participate in Gaza operations, including reservists and veterans once assigned to critical units. Max CRCH from Soldiers for the Hostages declared that prolonging the war not only jeopardizes hostages but also undermines Israel's moral and social fabric. Additionally, the group Breaking the Silence, made up of more than 1,000 former Israeli soldiers, warns the conflict has no clear military purpose. They have documented war crimes committed since 2004 and now refuse to participate further. Some even prefer imprisonment over fighting in Gaza, showing that moral defiance is emerging as a powerful force within Israel's military. This signals more than personal protest. It is a sign of deep legitimacy and trust issues within the government. Netanyahu faces a dilemma: continue high-risk operations or confront an internal storm that could weaken his authority. Military fractures are now spilling into politics. Senior figures like Zamir openly object to the mass displacement of Gaza's population, insisting Israel would bear direct responsibility for their fate. He urged ministers to consider ceasefire proposals from Egypt and Qatar, a move that could halt escalation. This dissent has created serious rifts within Netanyahu's cabinet. While the Prime Minister pushes for total victory, some ministers argue ongoing operations only deepen humanitarian and political crises. Meanwhile, public support erodes as reports of soldier resistance and veteran opposition dominate headlines. This reveals that Israel is not just facing a military crisis but also a political legitimacy crisis. Netanyahu must choose: pursue risky operations or adjust course to avoid losing vital internal support. The refusal of soldiers to fight in Gaza has sparked a wave of public reaction. Civilians are deeply divided. Some support the soldiers' stance on humanitarian grounds, while others condemn it as betrayal of the state. Israeli media amplifies these contrasting voices. For some, hostage safety is the top priority, while others insist Netanyahu must press forward to ensure national security. This debate highlights the moral and social tension now gripping a nation once renowned for its disciplined and united army. The protest by soldiers has become a symbol for many, showing that the war is inflicting serious costs on Israel itself. In the balance lies Netanyahu's ability to preserve public trust amid domestic turmoil and international pressure. Israeli soldiers refusing duty now carry a heavy moral and psychological burden. Refusal is not without cost. They face prison sentences, social stigma, and alienation from their peers. Yet many declare that continuing the war would be a betrayal of humanity itself. Max CRCH warns that every step of the military operation risks large-scale civilian casualties and hostages' lives. For soldiers like Zev Bogomelny, a veteran of the Israel-Lebanon Border Artillery Unit, refusal is the only way to protect his moral integrity. This decision forces an internal dilemma: obey government orders or follow conscience to protect innocent lives. The psychological toll extends beyond individuals, creating a ripple of uncertainty within Israel's armed forces. Alongside active refusals, military veterans are also raising their voices. Breaking the Silence, comprised of over 1,000 former soldiers and reservists, has systematically documented war crimes since 2004. They argue the conflict now has no clear military objective, only escalating suffering for Gaza's civilians. These veterans stress their testimony is not rebellion but a moral duty to Israel's history. Some willingly risk legal punishment to reveal facts long hidden from the public, demonstrating courage to challenge political power in defense of truth. Their presence underscores that Israel's fracture is not only structural but also moral, striking at the ethical foundations of its military tradition. Netanyahu now faces pressure not only from opponents abroad, but also from those who once served Israel loyally. This growing fracture has become a defining challenge for Benjamin Netanyahu. To him and his supporters, the Gaza operation is the only path to total victory. They reject outside mediation and insist the mission must continue despite mounting opposition. Yet his uncompromising stance has sparked fierce criticism from generals, ministers, and veterans alike. Netanyahu's son, Yair Netanyahu, went so far as to label the refusals a coup attempt. This clash exposes the gulf between the government's military ambitions and the moral reality on the ground. The dilemma is stark: press ahead with war and risk internal collapse, or adjust course to prevent political delegitimization. The stakes are higher than ever for Netanyahu's leadership. Israel's internal divisions have reached a breaking point. From generals and ministers to active soldiers and reservists, many now oppose Netanyahu's strategy. The ambition of total victory in Gaza collides with moral, political, and social realities. Netanyahu stands at a crossroads: force through a high-risk military campaign, or seek compromise to safeguard public trust, troop morale, and political stability. Meanwhile, soldier protests and refusals grow louder, suggesting that internal strife may pose a greater threat than external enemies. The final question remains: how long can Israel endure this internal storm? Will the pursuit of victory deliver triumph or disaster?